So now Apollo 13. This is a movie. It came out in 1995, directed by Ron Howard. He directed Splash, and he's the little boy in the Andy Griffith Show. He's in Happy Days, and now he is a director, and he's making this amazing movie. I'm talking about this because it reminds me a lot of Geostorm. Plus, if you're one of the guys that are into the 4K revolution, you can now buy this on 4K Blu-ray. So this has a great cast. You got Tom Hanks. Everybody loves Tom Hanks. He plays Jim Lovell. You got Kevin Bacon, who is Jack Swigert. So everybody in this movie has a Bacon number of 1 if you are into that. The late Bill Paxton is Fred Hayes. Gary Sinise, Lieutenant Dan himself, is Ken Mattingly. And he was the first person Ron Howard cast, and he gave him the choice of which character he wanted it to play. So that's very cool that he picked that character. Ed Harris, who's also in Geostorm, is in this movie. Their characters are very different. He plays Gene Kranz in this. And Ron Howard is such a nice guy. He gave his brother Clint a role. He gave his father Rance a role. He gave his mother Jean Spiegel Howard a role in this movie. His wife Cheryl has a role in this movie. His daughter Bryce Dallas Howard, the movie star from Jurassic World, he gave his family roles in this movie. So Apollo 13 is based on a true story, and it's a pretty famous story. Most people know the story of what happened, and the movie's been out for 22 years, so most people know what happened, but I'm still watching this movie, and I'm still like, holy crap, this actually happened. Oh my gosh. And I'm still at the edge of my seat, and I'm like, how are they going to bring these astronauts home after this explosion? What's going to happen? And I know the outcome, but I feel awful when Gary Sinise Mattingly can't go to the moon because he has the measles, and he's been training his whole life for this, and he can't go. You got Jim's son, who asked him for a moon rock, and now they're having problems with their shuttle, so they can't get to the moon. And then you have the wives on Earth, and they're complaining, will I ever see my husbands again? I want to see my husbands. Fred Hayes' wife is pregnant at the time, and she's like, will my child ever see the dad? And this just has so much drama. Then you have Fred Hayes. He has the flu in space and has a over 100-degree fever in space. Well, they don't have any doctors in space. How is he going to do this, and how is he going to prevent the other 2 guys from being sick? You feel bad when they're showing all the things about what's cool about their space shuttle, and it's supposed to be live broadcast, and it isn't. You feel bad for Swigert, because the Kevin Bacon guy, because he is the third wheel. He is the guy that is replacing Gary Sinise's Mattingly. And Fred Hayes came out and it's like, you screwed up, you should have done your job. And you feel bad for this guy because didn't do anything wrong. The other guy might have had the measles, and they don't want you to have the measles in space. So this movie has actual characters, and they're based on actual people, and it's based on true events. But this movie is so good that because I know the true events, and I'm still waiting what's going to happen to these guys, what's going to happen to this movie. And I care about all the characters. I care about the secondary characters. I care about the tertiary characters. Geostorm has one main guy, and I don't feel anything towards that character. I don't care if he lives or dies because he is not a great character. In the movie Geostorm, when they are on Earth, I'm like, get back to the guy in space. I kind of tune out watching Geostorm when it's on Earth because I'm like, well, what's going to happen to the guy in space? I don't really like him. I don't really care about him, but I'm like, I paid for this movie. I don't want to walk out of this movie. I made a mistake, and I should watch it till the end. In Apollo 13, when they are on Earth, I want to know what's happening to their wives. I want to see the kids talk about, is there something wrong with the hatch? I want to know what's happening on Earth. I want to know what happens in space too, but I do not turn out when they go back to Earth. And that scene when Gary Sinise is he's watching the TV and he's upset that he didn't do his dream of going into space. He turns off the TV right before they announce what's happening to Apollo 13. He turns it off and he goes to bed. And I gasped. I know what's happening because it's based on true events, because I've seen all their explosions and stuff going wrong with their space shuttle. But I want to know how this character feels, because this is the guy that could have escaped death by something of I might have the measles. And this movie is amazing. It has great writing, casting, and directing. And this is a movie that Tom Hanks is top billed, but I feel for all the characters. I feel for Gary Sinise's character, I feel for Kevin Bacon's character, I feel for Bill Paxton's character. And to quote Weird Al's North Korean polka, "Please don't nuke us." Why in the world would you kill Tom Hanks? Nobody doesn't like Tom Hanks. You do not want Tom Hanks to die in this explosion. You want Tom Hanks to come back to his wife and son. And you are on your edge of your seat knowing the ending, knowing it's based on a true story, but still wanting everything to be alright with Tom Hanks. This film is 22 years old, and it does the disaster in space. You have the capsule crashing to the Earth. Will these guys survive? It's based on a true story. Geostorm was not. And I care about the characters in this movie. I do not care about the characters in Geostorm. And this movie is 22 years old, and I still think it's very well done. I don't think I need to buy the 4K remaster of this, but I would not be opposed to sometime in the future on a Black Friday, or if it's ever in a Walmart $5 bin, I might pick it up. This movie is very good, and it's a 9 out of 10. So this is why sometimes just staying home and rewatching old movies is much better than going to the theater and seeing the new ones.